Hey everyone, this is Dr. Goins and welcome to the Nugget Power Hour. And so on this segment of the video, I'm actually going to read a little bit of my book, When Relationships Matter, a Socio-emotional Approach to Teaching and Learning. And today I'll actually read a little short section that introduces what P means in my PART framework, which is prepped and ready. So hear and enjoy. I'll talk a little bit about what it means to me and, how it can mean something to you. P, prepped and ready, teaching school readiness. Besides being marked as present for the school day, being prepped and ready is the first step to school readiness. I literally teach them how to prepare themselves for learning and get ready for the day. From day one, I teach each of my students everything procedural, walking in line, unpacking, hand signals, etc. Then I teach them instructional expectations for whole group lessons on the carpet, small group lessons at the table, independent work, and early finisher procedures. I teach my kids how to manage their supplies, and I distinguish what is managed as a class, a table, group, and individually. I give each of my students jobs and strategically assign a seating chart that best fits each child's needs. Lastly, I teach them their daily schedules so they can manage and manipulate with cards their time as they learn each day. Being prepped and ready is the backbone of consistency in my program. If I teach it ahead of time, I know I'll be more consistent with it as the year goes on. Also, if I teach it, I'll be more likely to expect it from the kids and hold them accountable to their actions. If I can be consistent with accountability, I won't be tempted to lower the expectations for them when the year gets stressful or hard. They will grow into these expectations as good habits for learning, and it really becomes second nature to them. My hope is that those habits continue even after they leave my room. We will talk more about this later, but I have strategically picked my procedures and expectations to innately teach personal respect and responsibility in all things. Most kids come from very unstructured, unaccountable homes. So the school day and schedule can be very invasive and overwhelming. Because of this, I work hard at the beginning of every year, teaching my students the whys and hows of their day to combat any socio-emotional breakdown or barriers. We live in a very fast-paced, technology-driven world, and kids aren't afforded much time to figure things out in the natural world on their own. Developmentally, this can be a real early childhood problem for transitioning a child over to school readiness. Basic explorations of play are either non-existent in many households or being replaced by app-friendly versions of the real thing. On top of that, email, social media, video chatting, and texting are more convenient means of communication for most modern day Americans. So kids aren't exposed to or taught how to have basic conversations with other people besides communicating what he or she needs or wants at any given time. This is developmentally inappropriate for young children because all speech and early literacy development comes out of oral language. It's crazy to think that a child could hear more conversations talked out loud in media, TV, movies, and videos, etc., than they do in their own homes. Because I've recognized these gaps, I teach my students very conversationally throughout the day. I even intervene when they speak with each other. It takes a lot of patience and time because the whole talk process is very new to them. When my students first come to me, many of them only know how to talk to me about themselves or gossip to me about one of their classmates or family members. So it takes a few months before they are confident enough to talk about anything else, especially what they're learning. So I'm consistent to coach and talk often. If my students are more stable interpersonally, the sky's the limit on what things I could plan for them: STEM projects, partner work, inquiry explorations, and beyond. And so this has to do with everything organization. This has everything to do with giving the kids a fair start because developmentally, our world in a society isn't fair to them. So right now, even when I return back to work, you can put your newborn back in work, when they're 6 weeks old. And I can't tell you how much of a difference I see when I stayed home. I stayed home with my daughter till she was, 2.5, and my son until he was like 10 months. And even Miles, my fifth one, was home with me for 6 months in COVID. I can tell you there's a huge difference in terms of their confidence and their There's just a big difference in how they interact in the world because they have a stronger sense of self. They had the attention and the nurturing when they were growing up, and daycare has its place if you worked. I get it. We had our kids in daycare. We chose an in-home daycare for this very reason, because we wanted them to feel like they were being watched by family, and they wanted them to be loved, like they were in a deep relationship. And our in-home provider is like family, and she provided that for them. But not everyone will. And so countless kids in the childcare and the daycare systems are there to be babysat and watched and not really nurtured and played with. They're not encouraged in exploration, but more entertained. And because they're more entertained, they don't know how to interact with the world, and they don't have a strong sense of self. Without those play interactions, without conversations and language, they're really missing out a chunk of early learning. And so being prepped and ready kind of, protects that and allows me the space, because if I can train all the students to give into the same expectations, the same procedures, the same routines, if I can help them to be comfortable in that, after that layer, I have a well-oiled machine where that's when I can talk to them. A lot of the training comes up where I am more so doing more commands and corrections and encouragements, and commands, corrections, and encouragement. That becomes like a broken record. But when they are doing things and mastering things and feeling good about themselves and feeling safe in the space, that is the context they need to start having real conversations with each other. They all grew up now in a society full of talk, but most of it is self-talk, where they're self-bragging about their self or trying to bring attention to the self. Shoot, some of it's not even words, or it's just plain gossip. And so for me, if it's talk that puts somebody down, it's not appropriate talk because it's disrespectful. And then also too, they have to know how to ask questions, or they have to be asked questions to really know how to respond and be in a conversation. So this is what I offer you. If you enjoyed what I read you today and would like to kind of stew on it or think about it more, please go ahead, and there's going to be a link on my YouTube channel of this video where you can get a free copy of this handout. But P means prepped and ready. It's where we take care of organization and executive functioning skills, where we build that strong context of language and routines and expectations so that our kids can feel safe and have the type of environment where it's functional and they thrive. All right. Thank you so much. If you want to continue on this journey with this 30-day video content challenge, please follow me and subscribe on YouTube, and also check me out on my website. And if you want to hire me for PD, I would love to bring this training live to you. All right. Thanks. Bye.